listen to this shit. If I cut my hands off, then that means my whole body can become young again. Hey, isn't that crazy? She hugs Namatame with her bloody stump and is like, you're only 10. You wouldn't understand how it feels to have old hands that are now not attached to your body.
That all happens. That all happens in this show. Hi, friends. Welcome to the Anime Book Club podcast. I'm your host, DJ Montague.
And I'm your host, Greg. And here we review anime from classics to brand new stuff, hidden gems, and controversial favorites.
You'll hear all of our hot takes, rants,
and genius observations. So thanks for tuning in, and buckle up because the episode starts now.
By the way, friends, these episodes contain spoilers, so be careful and don't ruin this anime for yourself. You've been warned. Hi, friends. Welcome to the Anime Book Club podcast. I am your co-host, DJ. Hands removed because they look too old, pill popping just a little too much, and letting my scars show for all of the world to see. And the only way to heal me is through all of your kind words, Montague. And this is my co-host.
I am Greg, walking around holding dead houseplants, specializing in shiatsu massage for the elderly, using the word like in 2 different ways, and victim of the hug the babies goodnight Mortal Kombat fatality, big smart large Jesus.
Love it. That was good. And welcome in, friends. Today we are talking about the episodes 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12 of Sanda. We've got a good long episode for you. We finally get to wrap up Sanda, even though it's fucking February. And Santa Claus has left the fucking building, Greg. Finally. How are you doing? How are you feeling?
About Sanda or...
About Sanda, life, Santa Claus, love, the pursuit of happiness.
I just remember our last episodes when we talked about Sanda, and I said, Santa Claus is coming to town to fuck, and then you got crazy. But now Santa came to town to fuck, but no one was there because it's February. And then he left, and then it is just us together, as always.
Together as always, and, a little worse for wear, I would say. I don't particularly think that I had the most fun watching Sanda of all time. I'm glad Santa came and then whatever was spilled on the floor, nobody cleaned it up, and then he left. And now he's gone.
The cookies have gone cold. The milk has gone curdled. Like the story. I felt like the story was strong to start. I was on board. I was interested. I thought it was going to go different. I thought we were going to see an army of Santas at the end, or he was gonna meet up with the Santa clan that was in hiding or something like that, and we would get a little more Santa-esque stuff going on. But yeah, these last episodes really focus on, I guess, more Fuyumura and Ono, and less on Santa and Yagiuda, and kind of the story, what I believed was the story in the beginning. And I don't know, I guess it ended fine. I felt like they were just on the decline, maybe after episode 7 when they started the youth festival or whatever it was. I feel like Santa, what next? Is that it? And does he keep doing Santa stuff, or now that they had their childhood adventure, is it they're done and they're going to grow up and continue living in this society that's messed up, and the end? I don't know. It was kind of weird.
Yeah, well, okay, so we get a cliffhanger ending where it's not all that exciting. I mean, we're kind of giving you a rough cliff notes. To me, it wasn't all that exciting. And I kind of looked on Reddit to get any sort of information on Sanda. Did you know that Sanda was actually incredibly popular in Japan? This anime was immensely popular. I'm shocked. I was just oh, okay.
I think if we look at kind of the world of Sanda, I think it is a little more identifiable with Japanese society more than American society, just kind of how the upbringing of the kids are, and almost the dead-endness of reaching adulthood and just becoming a salaryman and hating everything, and then you die. And then, well, you don't die. I think you get old. And then since you didn't save for retirement, you're one of the old people that are like sweeping leaves off of the sidewalk to have a job and make like $3 an hour or something.
I can relate in that regard. Like seeing it go in that direction rather than being born in it. Because I remember growing up, and I remember like the freedoms of going outside. I remember the freedoms of like no cell phones, not a cell phone in sight. But like it's like seeing the world evolve is definitely like you're like the American system evolve is definitely like rough to watch right now. And I think that I relate to that at least.
And I think that's why the world of Sanda is interesting, and it being more related to like Japanese culture. I feel like in Japan anyway, you let kids be kids. You get all your fun and kidness out of you. And then once you hit the high school, university workforce, that's when you just become the cog. And you're no longer like an individual. It's like the Japanese slogan was the nail that sticks up gets hammered down, because everyone is supposed to conform to this certain societal norm that Japan has, and everyone is kind of expected to act and be a certain way. And for outsiders, it looks cool because you go to Japan and you're like, wow, it's so clean, like everything is like nice and orderly. Oh, you can't have that in America because that'll just get stolen immediately or defaced, or someone's just going to break it, because that's how we are. But in Japan, they're basically forced to live that way, because if they step outside of what the society's expectations are, then they are just silently shunned by the entire nation, and then no one's going to hire you and you're a piece of shit. And it's kind of like that within Sanda. You get older. Once you're not a kid anymore, then yeah, you just become an adult. You become someone old, like no one cares about you. Yeah, you're just kind of disposable at that point. So I think they do a pretty good job of making that part of Japanese society extreme within Sanda. And I guess I'm a little sad that there wasn't more closure in terms of like the school and the university. Like we learn, I guess, what happens to Oshibu, even though he like messed up Santa for like the third time. Like Santa's lost 3 times in a row, basically to Oshibu.
Yeah, and like all the kids are like, man, that guy Oshibu's sick, dude. And you're like, wait a second.
He kind of is, actually. I mean,
he's pretty fucking sick.
At the end, like I didn't necessarily know like who am I cheering for now? Like who am I identifying with? Like I kind of got confused, because I'm like, well, Oshibu's doing what he is doing, not like illegally, but this is what the expectation of society and the school is, and he's just fierce loyalty to whatever this thing he's doing, and he's like fighting for it. Santa is trying to break whatever is going on because he feels like it's wrong, and for all intents and purposes, to me, I feel like it's wrong too. But I mean, I can't really fault Oshibu for doing what he's doing, because he's upholding the school. And in the end, it's like no one really like won. You know what I mean? Like there was no like clear outcome of, is there going to be a solution? Like, are we going to fix the school? Are we going to fix society? Like,
yeah, that's what bugged me about it, is that like, yeah, they're baiting for, well, okay, so they followed the manga and they've got like I imagine a season 2 in mind, but it still just didn't, it felt like there was zero closure to me.
Yeah, I mean, the only closure I guess you kind of got was between Fuyamura and Sanda. And I have a note at the very end.
I mean, the Ono and Fuyamura thing, I mean, it's sad, but it wasn't like the heartstrings of, you know when like, all right, we're going to have to get into the episode here after this next statement. You remember in Star Wars, the prequels, when Anakin is now turned into Vader, he comes back and he's like, man, where's Padme? And they're like, oh, sorry to say, dog, she died of a broken heart. And you get the no. That is Sanda at the end to me. I didn't feel like Ono's situation. It's like, anyways, we'll get into it when we get there on episode 12. But okay. All right, Greg.
Let's get this slay of sledding in episode 7 of Sanda. Sanda is yapping it up with Mogi, and Amaya is sitting there thinking that Sanda knows exactly what to say to make people happy. And then it cuts to Amaya and Fuyamura telling Sanda they should go their separate ways because Oshibu knows about them, but not about Sanda. And if they keep hanging out, he's bound to figure out. Sanda's like, nah, man. Didn't you want Santa to do his thing again so your cake shop gets out of its slump? And we're friends, and we're all in danger, so we should stick together. And Amaya thinks that Sanda always says what he wants to hear, but he has to do the rational thing. Amaya says he can look after himself and walks away, and locks himself in the dorm room, and all the boys are like, damn, what's wrong with him? But it cuts to Fuyamura with Ono in the infirmary, and Fuyamura wonders why Amaya did that, and she doesn't get boys at all. Fuyamura is like, I gotta go for a bit, I'll be back, and leaves. And Ono yells to her, but then her body is all weird and veiny and shit for some reason, and it appears she's struggling with some sort of ailment.
We're getting the statement that she's growing up really quickly, and like her puberty hit in one night, and we later learn a bunch of stuff. But I just looked at this and I was like, are they going to kill Ono right now?
Yeah, I didn't know what to think. When I first saw this scene when I was watching it, I didn't think what the ending tells us what was actually happening. I thought it was really weird. I thought she was going to turn into like Oshibu or something, or like turn into like a zombie, or something crazy was going to happen, because I was like, this is really weird. We haven't seen this before. And I couldn't really figure out what was going on. So yeah, at this point, I was a little bit confused with what was going on with Ono. Like, why is it so veiny? And it's like she has...
God damn it, Greg. I was like, don't say veiny, don't say veiny, don't say veiny, don't say veiny.
Yeah, why is it so veiny?
Why is it so veiny? Why is there two of them? Why is it so big?
But Sanda marches outside with a red jacket and looks up to the dorm window, and Amaya is just laying in bed thinking he doesn't want Sanda in danger anymore. Amaya looks out the window and Santa is scaling the building, and Santa is like, you locked the door, so I was going to come through the window. And Amaya is like, what if someone sees you? Go back down. And it's best if Santa only sees the kids once a year. And Santa's like, drop your shit, Santa stereotype. And he can't do this without him. But other kids overhear them talking, and Santa has to Metal Gear Solid up the building, and his sleigh feet are retracting. But Amaya extends his hand and is trying to pull Santa up, and then Fuyamura kicks the door down and is like, damn, that was surprisingly easy. And she's like, you guys made up already? And he's like, yeah, I was wrong. Help me with Santa. But then he drops him, and then Santa has to run since people hurt. Cuts to Oshibu strangling Yagi Uda, and he's like, what were you doing while I was fighting Santa? Let's hear this excuse. And I told you I wanted him before the typhoon ended, and if you didn't, I'd put my old heart in you. Yagi Uda thinks he was just sleeping like a normal person, but he's like, I can't tell him that. So instead, he chooses the flattery conversation choice and says he hates Oshibu because he looks so young and beautiful. And Yagi Uda is so old and ugly, and he was too busy being jealous that he shirked his duties to capture Santa. Oshibu is like, okay, keep going. Keep telling me. I'm about to boss. And Yagi Uda is like, I hate your beauty so much. And Oshibu is like, fuck yeah, that's it. I can feel it. The oxytocin. And then the narrator chimes in and says the oxytocin heals Oshibu's scars.
Greg, did you need the ludicrous reference in there? I mean, was it pertinent to the story you're telling right now?
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure Yagi Uda said, I want to lick you from your head to your toes.
Thank you. I think they did move from the bed to the flow.
Yeah.
You make it so good, I don't want to leave. Yeah,
so anyway.
God damn it, dude.
So next scene, Oshibu lets him go, and he's like, well, okay, but you're still useless, and I know of other assets in the school that would be better suited to deal with Santa than you. So basically, Yagi Uda talked himself out of getting a 92-year-old heart, and he's off the hook. Basically, he's like, you just suck and just go be a PE teacher, I guess.
He's like, you're off the hook for right now since you helped heal me. But also, watch yourself, bitch. I'm still watching you. And then that was it. Like, Yagi Uda is like, sick. I get to go back to being a salary worker. All right, bye, everybody. And then leaves.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
So it cuts to Nico, and she's like, Sanda, look at my face. do you know which face this is? Is it I took a giant fucking dump face or the I love Sanda face? And she's like, well, the correct answer is both. You're my fiancé, so you should know. Sanda is cleaning the grounds after the typhoon, but Nico is just spinning around throwing leaves, but bumps into another girl carrying some soil and some plants, and Sanda catches the flower pot she was about to drop.
Do you think that...
Nico likes pooping?
Yes, but no, Nico is supposed to be like a rendition of the Manic Pixie Dream Girl.
I don't know what that is.
Greg, back in the day, it was like, I think it was the movie was Girl Interrupted with Angelina Jolie.
Wanted?
No. Nope, I said the movie first, Greg. Girl Interrupted. Not Wanted, where they bend the bullet, okay? And spin it around a room. No, it was like the idea of the Manic Pixie Dream Girl, the girl that's like super ADHD and almost like whimsical in every aspect, like very much in her own world. And like the guy's just like, oh, cool, that girl's really pretty. And why does she like me? And anyways, Manic Pixie Dream Girl, go look it up. Like a early 2000s thing.
The only thing I remember from early 2000s is Tattoo.
They recently came out with some new music. And they
good for them.
Yeah.
I'm glad they're doing well.
They fucking rule.
But she's like, oh, damn, that was close. I have to take this to the class. And I decided to carry everything at once. And Sanda offers to help and thinks that it's nice that someone isn't a psycho. And then thinks about Amaya, Fuyamura, and Nico. They go to the semi-basement and Sanda is like, what are you going to do with this plant? It's like dead after the typhoon. And she said they left it out on purpose. And she opens the door to the second year class 10. And Sanda thinks that he thought there were only 5 classes of second years. And the girl says this is one of the classes where they put kids who killed an adult.
I'm glad they said that they killed an adult because I need an adult.
Well, too bad because they're all dead.
I'm glad somebody got it. Somebody took care of the business.
Sanda's like, oh shit, how did I not notice? Deliberately killing plants. Desks facing away from the teacher. Something is wrong with this class. And then another girl enters the class and shuts the door behind her. Nico and Sanda go to leave, but the door's locked. And they're like, hey, can you unlock this? But then the girl introduces herself as Namatame Fumi. She says she heard that one of the kids is Santa, and they're looking for him. And Sanda starts sweating bullets. Nico comes to the rescue and is like, what? There's no Santa. You actually believe that shit? And they get out safe, and Sanda wonders if the face of that nice-looking girl is the face of someone who's killed an adult.
Oh yeah, she's a super murderer. And we're led to believe that she's like, oh, everything's super chill and cool. Like, wow, we're just down here vibing.
I actually liked her backstory. Humanized her a bit. And while I don't agree with what she did, I can see how the situation and her being so young, how something like that could like actually play out. You kind of feel for her a little bit about how messed up everything is. And even though, yes, like she is an adult killer, you kind of get that feeling like, well, maybe, you know, she's not so bad, but she's bad.
No, she's terrible. She's the worst at all times.
I can fix her.
No. And that's the worst is like, we've got Nico, who's the Manic Pixie Dream Girl. And then we've got like the grounded girl next door. And she's a fucking murderer.
She's a girl from Audition.
She literally is.
Once they're out, Nico is like, holy shit, I was going to shit myself. That was scary as fuck. And she says she heard rumors of a class 10, but the scariest thing of all is that cute girl is the leader of a bunch of killers. Nico explains how it's easy for women to hide their true nature and starts hitting Sanda with her backpack, but then realizes her cat keychain on her backpack is gone, and she's like, oh shit, I hope it's not in that classroom. But Sanda is like, well, I'll go back and get it. Cuts to Sanda at the classroom holding a red jacket, and he says it's true that this class is scary, but he can't forget what Tetsudome said about being serious, about changing the school. And the first step is to face the denizens of the underworld. This school's underworld, and only after that will she train him. Sanda thinks that she means this classroom, And he dons the jacket and turns into Santa and stands outside the classroom. And he's like, sick, okay, I did it. Time to turn back. But Namatame opens the door and is super excited to see Santa. She talks to Santa about how Class 10 wanted to meet Santa since all the other adults are too scared that they'll be killed, and she offers Santa some tea. Santa currently isn't taking the bait, and he says if you wanted to see me, there must be something you want. And he asks what they wish for, and she's like, well, before we get into our presents, why don't you drink your tea? And she pours it on the ground as the other kids close in with nail bats and shit. Cuts to Nico and Fuyumura and Amaya rolling up and are like, hey, we can't find Sanda. And she's like, well, about that. And Amaya's like, oh shit, he's in class 10 with all the killers. And then Fuyumura takes off her boots and all the kids are like, hey, that's illegal. And then she parkours down the floors and Amaya's like, yeah, I'll just take the stairs like a normal, well-adjusted human being. And I wish they went into this like a little bit more because we learn why like the uniforms and the boots are important and what they symbolize, but they never really like revisit this again. And I think that's part of one of my issues with Sanda is they bring up a lot of these like little details about the world and what the kids are going through, but it's never revisited at all. It's just kind of like, you know, you just put it in the back of your mind and you're like, well, that was cool.
I think that the symbolism of the boots, it is like a cool element, but like you said, it's just right here. And then like never again for the next 6 episodes. You're just kind of sitting there like, oh, okay, I guess. What does any of this information really matter? You see like 2 scenes later, they have like a flashback where the kids are running and they're all wearing tennis shoes. Do you notice that?
Yeah, I mean, it happens all the time. It's like you take your boots off when you take a shower. During the youth festival, no one was wearing boots. Everyone's wearing like other clothes and, you know, traditional footwear and stuff. So they take their boots off a lot, really. It's not like they got a ankle collar on being tracked all the time like they made it sound like. So it was kind of weird that they bring it up. They explain the symbolism behind it, but then they kind of just forget that it was a thing.
Mm-hmm. Definitely weird. I wasn't a big fan.
But it cuts back to class 10, and Namatame says that boots are part of the school uniform because they're like shackles, and kids that are too weak don't mind the boots. And the boots are what's most convenient for adults. That's why we aren't allowed to take them off. And no one realizes we're all captives at the school, and everyone just enjoys their time as students, not understanding. And those that rebel against the adults are exiled to these classrooms. So it kind of makes sense. And I think she uses rebel pretty lightly because rebel means murder in her eyes. Because when you rebel against adults, that means you kill them. So I don't know if what she is saying is actually true, or maybe this is just her own internalization of what the boots are and rebelling against adults is. And she is partially crazy. So maybe this is just her own interpretation, not necessarily what the story really means with the uniforms.
Yes, I'd agree. I just think it's all weird, man.
Yeah.
It's a weird show.
But Santa's like, damn, okay. Well, what do you want me to do? And Namatame says that long ago, Santa would leave presents inside the kids' shoes or stockings. And Santa is like, okay, what do you want? And she said, we want your thumbs. Santa's like, what the fuck are you going to do with my thumbs? And she's like, you don't ask kids how they play with their toys. And Santa's confused and is having an internal conflict of if he should cut off his thumbs or not, and sees Fuyumura's face in Namatame. But just then, there's an explosion, and Santa protects Namatame. And Fuyumura walks in and is like, hey, we tried to knock, but nobody answered. And that's the end of episode 7.
Yeah, like this show, it does this thing of giving you all this information only to just like slowly slide it off the desk like a shitty cat, like Nico would.
Or probably because they're lying, and we can tell that they're lying is because the stuff is falling off the desk.
Wow, Greg, I forgot about the lying and making things fall off shelves. Call back, Greg.
That's how much information is in this show.
Yeah. That's how information dense it is.
I feel like they do get lost in the sauce. They build up all of this information and foundational stuff. And that's why I was so on board, because I'm like, okay, I get it. I see what you're doing, world building.
Yeah.
But they didn't really do much with it, and it was disappointing.
Every episode, there is something new, that there's like a new rule that they're adding to the world.
And that's why my notes are so long. That's why I'm like literally writing everything down just to make sure I capture it all. But in the end, it doesn't really matter.
If the last fight was like Sanda and Oshibu fighting and they like going through the hallways, and as Oshibu is like fucking sword fighting him, like books and stuff are falling off the desks while he's like, you're weak, you're stupid, and like all this stuff, and you're like, okay, yeah, this would make sense. And then he takes his fucking shoes off and he's like, time to kick that ass, and you're like, oh shit, it's not illegal for Oshibu to do it. But all the other kids, it's like rules for thee, not for me. And then like all the kids got to watch this. It would be like, wow, this is like, wow, I took all these notes for a reason.
Damn.
A reason.
All right, episode 8.
Greg, no. Bad direction.
Well, I mean, he would do it if he was Black Santa.
Black Santa is hilarious because of American culture. So Black Santa, we have it at work and during the holidays. Put up Black Santa. People regularly try to steal our Black Santa, and I gotta fucking scream at people on stage all the time. But the fact that it's called Black Santa, and like in the connotation for America versus Japan, I'm sure, like, it's fucking hilarious to me. I mean, like, you get what I'm saying, right, Greg?
But I'm sad they didn't do more with it either. That's another thing that they put into the show that I can see what could happen with Black Santa. But then, yeah, like nothing happens, and it's kind of like they mentioned him like once, and then he comes out once, and then that's it, and then
again,
no
every
Santa.
episode is like isolated, and it's like you learn something new, and then it's just immediately thrown away.
But we move to episode 8. Fuyumura walks in and says she has a class rep announcement to keep your boots tied and your attire nice, and that gives Santa enough time to escape, and Santa thinks that Fuyumura is a badass. They meet at the roof, and Sanda is like, man, you saved me. I might not have my thumbs if it wasn't for you. And she's like, it's what friends do. And then Sanda transforms into Santa and thinks that whenever he starts falling for Fuyumura, changing into Santa helps calm him down. She's like, do they ask anything weird in the class? And he's like, not really. And Santa is like, oh damn, a wish of a child. And he thinks that to be an untrained Santa, a child's wish is like a stab in the heart or a powerful drug, and it's putting a strain on Sanda's heart because he hasn't been able to grant a child's wish yet. Cuts to Namatame, and she's like, not only did Santa protect me from the blast, but that's the most attention I've gotten from an adult. And be careful, Santa, I might fall for you. Hey, as she brandishes her cleaver.
I don't understand.
What do you mean? Kids love Santa.
But saying fall for you is a very specific thing.
Is it?
Maybe I'm the weird one.
Maybe.
All right.
Cuts to Sanda cleaning the ground again, and he thinks he's a shit Santa, and he's got to learn how to handle children's wishes better. Nico asks for the dustpan, and he's like, oh shit, my heart. I gotta make Santa's heart stronger. And then Sanda is like, you want anything more than that dustpan, Nico? And he intimidates her with his aura. And she's like, well, there is one thing. And he's like, sick, tell me. And she's like, what? You want me to tell you? And she's like, a girl's gotta get emotionally prepared first. Sanda is like, sick. Nico is back to her old bratty self. Time to work out Santa's heart. And she's like, well, fine, I'll tell you. I want you to kiss me. We're engaged and all. And Sanda's like, fuck. Santa can't kiss a 14-year-old girl. That's illegal. And one wish I can't grant. But if I turn her down, that would mean I'm a failure as a man and as Santa. She hugs Sanda and is like, oh, you don't want to? And now Sanda is questioning his entire existence of what does it mean to be Santa, and what does it mean to be strong, and what does it mean to be a man. And he has the stereotypical nosebleed, and he's like, oh shit, it's on my shirt. I'm gonna boss transform. Sanda's like, my only option is to take off this shirt. And Nico is like, holy shit, what the fuck, you perv? Just because I asked for a kiss doesn't mean I want to go that far. And Sanda's like, whew, safe. But Nico is like, okay, we're going to try this again. And Sanda's like, damn, there's no way I can turn this down.
Greg, here's a very key factor, friends. Greg is sprucing up his notes to make them funnier. You can tell. But, like, this scene is so fucking awkward. And Greg's trying to be funny with it because, like, if we weren't going to be funny with it, we would both be sitting here like, this was uncomfortable for everybody involved, right? Like, no one's feeling like, oh, this was a sick scene, you know what I mean?
I'm not doing a good job because I still feel awkward reading this.
Greg, your notes are wonderful. You're doing God's work.
It's like the theme of the show. It's like just awkward shit all the time because they talk about when we first met Amaya, he's just like, oh, Santa Fuyumura, I got you tied up. Now I want to watch you make out. And it's like, well, that's weird. And now it's like, oh, Sanda can't kiss Nico because he's also Santa, which is an adult, but then he's also a 14-year-old boy. I actually felt a little bit better once we get to maybe episode like 9 or 10, because the awkwardness of this weird kid-adult relationship shit kind of goes out the window and we just focus on...
It does not, Greg, to you.
It's not out the window, but like I feel like it's less.
It leaves for it, like it goes to the fucking store for cigarettes and milk and then comes back and kicks your front door in when you have the scene with Ono where they get naked in the infirmary.
You're right. I forgot that happened.
Too as well.
All right, let's keep on.
Bud.
Sanda's like, okay, let's do this. But then he's like, oh shit, I gotta go to the bathroom, and runs off. Sanda runs around to the storage sheds and is like, dude, I fucking suck. But then Yagi-Uda grabs him and he's like, you're slacking off cleaning to get busy with a cute girl. You guys a thing or what? But Sanda escapes and grabs his bloody shirt and transforms into Santa and is like, man, your timing sucks. Yagi-Uda says he shouldn't take his relationship any farther with that girl because if Santa falls in love with a child, he dies. And he's like, this is a legitimate warning. And then thinks, I gotta bring him in alive. So if he dies, he won't get a raise. Santa is like, damn, I had a feeling that was the case because I feel guilty if I have feelings for a girl. So if I kiss her, I'd probably die. And Yagi-Uda punches him and he's like, fuck yeah, you'll die. And then Santa is like, if kissing a girl puts my life at risk, then fuck yeah, I'm gonna do it because that's what Santa does. And then he uppercuts Yagi-Uda and says he's going to grant her wish. Yagi-Uda whips out his gat and he's like, man, if you kiss a girl just because you feel obligated, then that isn't sincere at all. And Santa turns and says, I'm doing it because that's what a 14-year-old boy would do. Flashback to 14-year-old Yagi-Uda with his arranged girl, doing a bunch of shit he doesn't want to, but doing it anyway. And then it cuts back to the present, and he's like, fuck, he's right. Santa tells Yagi-Uda thanks for the warning, and words carry more weight when they come from a grown man, and he wants to grow up like him as soon as he can. Then he walks off and eats a bratty bean. Sanda approaches Nico and is like, I'm gonna do it. Put my life on the line as a man. And he approaches Nico, and Yagi-Uda is hiding behind a tree, and he's thinking, dude, you're gonna die. But Sanda's dorm mates roll up, and they're like, oh, hey guys, you cleaning? What good students you are. They tell Sanda they're going to play a board game in their room later, and he should join. And then they're like, oh, Nico doing cleaning? That's fucking weird. Nico is like, man, fuck you guys. And Sanda says they were doing something important, and Yagi-Uda is like, damn, that was close. But then Amaya is like, oh, hey guys, we gotta go. Dozono is going to eat all the chips. And he gets the other dudes out of there.
Okay, Yagi-Uda, I think, by the way, is supposed to be us. We're not supposed to see all of, like, what we see on the show. We're supposed to see what Yagi-Uda sees. We're not supposed to be the fly on the wall. We're supposed to be Yagi-Uda. And then, like, actually, no, this is a bad analogy, because then he tries to get one of the kids drunk. This show is not good for normal, well-adjusted adults, okay?
I really don't know what to say about the show.
You know what? You know what this show's great for? It's great for gamer subs, Greg. Could you segue to gamer subs really quickly so we could talk about subs?
Sanda goes back to get to business. But then their teacher shows up and is like, Sanda, the chief director asked to see you in her office. And Sanda is like, man, I gotta do something. I'll go later. And then Yagi-Uda rolls up and is like, hey, Teach, the other Teach needs you. And he leads her away for Sanda. What a wingman. Jumped on that grenade.
What? It wasn't a grenade. She seemed like a nice lady.
He jumped on that grenade. Nico and Sanda are now alone, and Yagi-Uda runs back to his tree to watch, and things are tense. But Nico just gives him a peck on the cheek, and Yagi-Uda is like, oh shit, he got away unscathed. But me, on the other hand, my heart can't take this shit. Cuts to Fuyumura and Ono, and Fuyumura is thinking that women grow overnight, and they get more and more beautiful. And before you know it, they turn into some unapproachable figure. Ono is like, you go ahead and eat that last dango skewer. But Fuyumura is like, well, it's a 3-pack, and we'd always make up games to see who got the last one. And she's
It's
like,
a 5-pack,
nah.
Greg.
Is it a 5-pack?
It's okay.
Ono says, no, it's okay. I'm not hungry. And Fuyumura thinks Ono hit puberty before anyone else, and now she's in an adult body, but what really gets her is how she looks so sad and lonely.
I have a question. What the fuck do these kids do? Like, if they're not supposed to be sleeping at all? You know what I mean? Like,
They say that they just lay awake and stare at the ceiling.
yeah, which is just like insane as well.
I mean, the whole world is insane.
Yeah, you're right.
Ono says she's planning on leaving, and now that she's become an adult, she can't stay at the school, and she wants to make one last memory with Fuyumura before she goes. And Fuyumura thinks they could have just divided the dango up since there's 4 balls, and they could have had 2 each, and she's a child while Ono is an adult. Ono is alone now, and it's almost night, and her body looks to still be aching, but she sees a book on puberty on the bookshelf, and she reads about what could happen if puberty is ended abruptly, and certain symptoms may occur, and she looks scared. But Sanda rolls up, and he's like, hey, the chief director sent me with some shit for you. And Sanda says he's been spending time with the chief director lately, and he's going to defeat Oshibu, and Ono smiles and says he's Santa, and she can rest easy knowing he's watching over Fuyumura. Sanda is surprised, and she said she asked him here because she wanted to ask something of Santa, and she's already become an adult, but is it still okay to ask? Cuts to the classroom, and Yagi-Uda says the peak of youth ceremony is coming up, and Fuyumura asks Sanda if he's going, and Santa narrates that the ceremony is for kids turning 15, where 15 is considered to be the peak of youth and beauty. Sanda's like, I gotta go. I'll stick out if I don't. And Fuyumura says they should all have fun together, but then it cuts to Namatame talking to Oshibu about the ceremony. And he's like, you're a pro at killing adults, so I hope you can do what I asked.
How many adults has she killed? He's like, you're a pro. You're so good at it. I believe in you. And she's like, all right, sick, dude. And then she fucking pulls out double-fisted, like, dual golden Berettas and just starts fucking laying him out. You know what I mean? It's so fucking weird, man.
She prestiged and then whipped out, like, the double Beretta,
Yeah.
300 headshot golden.
Yes, 100%.
She says not to worry, and at the ceremony, she'll kill him for sure. And he's like, sweet, here's a bunch of weapons. Santa is unkillable. Are you sure you can do it? She picks up a gun and starts shooting Oshibu, and she's like, you should have faith in kids, and I couldn't think of any other way to convince you besides blasting you.
Literally nothing else you could have done.
I just like how her face looks. It looks like it's an MS Paint, and then they just use like the bucket fill option and just clicked her face with red.
You know, when you're like so bored in class and then you start like scribbling in circles and like you have the one line and then you try and like fill the little things with the paint. Yeah, that's what her face. Yep. Damn, we are so old, Greg.
Oshibu gets out of his chair and he's like, if I didn't have all my organs replaced, I would be dead. You passed, and I'm proud of you. And then she tries to shoot him in the face, but he dodges. And she's like, oh, your brain is still the real thing. He's like, I leave everything in your hands. And Namatame is like, leave it to me. If I see even one adult at the ceremony, I'll blast them without hesitation.
Been a fucking teacher in 25 years? What is going on?
It cuts to Ono. After credits, it shows the boys playing games in the room. So Nico was cleaning, and it was hella weird. And they're like, Sanda has been hanging out with Nico and Fuyumura a lot lately. And he's like, I think he's just got a goal in mind. And the boys are like, do you think they're doing it? And then Amaya plays a card and wins the game. That's end of episode 8.
Not see that part. I just went to the next episode. Not that sometimes they have after credit shit in this fucking anime. Like, I don't, man, I just like this.
It's okay, let it
It's
out.
so weird. It's so weird sometimes.
I think this is realistic. If you were hanging out with your 14-year-old guy friends and one of them was like, had a girl hanging off of each arm or whatever, I'm sure one of us would just be like, you think they're doing it?
It's not like it's wrong. I agree that like a lot of the speculation in this show is founded because of how old they are. It still to me is just like, I am still a fly on the wall. I am still a 40-year-old man watching this anime. Like, I can't be anything. I think that's what's weird to me.
All of these things, for us right now, with the knowledge that we have of the world, it's super weird. This entire show is weird with all of the things that they say and have in the show. You know, I'm trying to give it the benefit of the doubt by putting myself in the kids' shoes. And if you had unlimited reign, you could do nothing wrong. You can kill adults and like everyone cheers for you. I can see how the kids' minds can like get warped. And I think that's what they're trying to portray. But yes, it's still fucking weird to sit here and watch it all play out.
I'd agree.
But episode 9, Santa is giving Tetsudome a shiatsu massage. And she asks if Santa always wears red. And he's like, well, I don't know. I heard about a black Santa from my mother once, but I always think of Santa with red clothes. Tetsudome says red is the color of passion and justice, but she hates it because it's so bright and in your face. And Santa is like, oh, is that so? Then thinks that all he does in the office is give Tetsudome massages and wonders when she is going to teach him how to fight. Almost all heroes have some sort of red color on them in their armor or a cape or something like that. And then I had another note that says this is probably like Karate Kid, where this massage is the secret hammer fist technique or something. But I was wrong because this is never revisited and it doesn't really matter.
The only thing we get out of this is that he is stronger. And that's like every training regiment they do in the anime so far is just the knowledge that he is stronger. It's very far-fetched, but like later Sanda is getting blasted with the gat and he says, oh, if I hadn't done that training with my friend, then I wouldn't be alive right now.
But Tetsudome is like, this massage is a snooze. Do it harder. And Santa progressively hits harder, and she's like, this isn't hard enough. And Santa is like, man, I can't hit you any harder. What is she testing me on? And then she breaks his right index finger and kicks him in the face. She tells him if he holds back against women and children, then he is in a world of hurt, and then says Namatame of Class 10 is looking to kill him. Santa is in pain, grabbing his broken finger, and she says the fact that he's letting the pain get to him shows he isn't ready to fight. She says she's pretty sure she knows what Oshibu's planning, and if Santa hesitates for a second because Namatame is a child, then she'll kill him for sure. And she says kill her before she kills him. Yeah. He's like, what the fuck? And she slaps him and says, until you can land one hit on me without pulling your punch, you're not leaving this room. Santa is like, man, I can't do that. And Santa is regular Sanda, and she says, you treat the elderly like they're frail and children like they're helpless. And if you keep obsessing over people's ages, you'll never be able to face them with everything you got.
You know, like, she's not wrong in, like, being like, yeah, you treat kids like they're kids. You treat the elderly like frail little babies. I get where she's going with it, but it's also, like, there's a reason for all of this. In the general sense, he is doing the right thing. But when you're looking at, like, a 14-year-old serial killer and a 92-year-old serial killer, I guess, yeah, it's the exact instance where she would be right.
Tetsudome attacks, and Santa thinks that was a vision of when she was young, and then says he doesn't understand how punching her will help him become a stronger Santa. She says, oh, so you want to become an adult without ever hurting anyone or getting your hands dirty? You're an idiot. Santa goes for a punch and thinks if she knew how this was going to play out, and he doesn't even feel his broken finger anymore, And because he couldn't feel it, he couldn't feel her wrinkly face as he buried his fist inside of it, and that she's helping him compartmentalize his pain as an adult. She flies across the room, but then says that black looks good on him, and he's turned into Black Santa. Santa thinks hitting her pierced his heart, but realized that the stronger adult he becomes, the stronger Santa he becomes.
Really get it either, man.
I get the concept that they're trying to deliver with Black Santa.
Dude, he fucking bonkai, dude. What are you talking about?
What's Ichigo's Bankai sword?
Oh, fuck. All I remember is Hal Zabimaru.
Oh, Howl Zombie. Yeah, the worst character in all of Bleach. Renji.
Because he fucking does it all the time, and he's like, it's time to lose. Howl Zabimaru. And then he's like, yeah, let's go.
Yeah, his sword just turns into Diddy Kong with 2 bananas and he's shooting peanuts, and then he just gets domain expansioned on and dies.
Yeah. Everybody is like, wow, that was super sick. And then Diddy Kong just jumps off the map with his side B, and that's it.
But it cuts to the kids setting up for the ceremony, and Sanda walking around thinking, man, the only way to get stronger is becoming dark enough to hit a little old lady.
Yeah, fuck it, dude.
He should have left closed. And what would kids think if he showed up as Black Santa? Namatame rolls up to Sanda and is like, hey, yo, what's good? You remember me? I remember you because I have no friends. And she's like, you aren't avoiding me, are you? And Sanda is like, of course not. But then thinks that no matter how hard he trains, he'll always be scared to go face to face with Namatame. But don't let her psych you out. He asks her if she always walks around with dead plants. And she says it's embarrassing, but having them with her gives her a sense of security. And she likes them, so when she goes on walks, she always looks for half-dead plants. Emotional support plant.
Yeah, emotional support plants are pretty funny.
They walk around the corner where the shadows are, and he asks why she likes them, and she says class 10 are adult killers, so we all have some screws loose, but then he remembers Tetsudome saying that she's trying to kill it. Sanda thinks that Black Santa won't hold back against a child, and it may be now or never, and he tries to justify, I don't know, killing her, I guess, by saying she's someone that has killed an adult, and naughty kids need to be punished. But then Namatame grabs Sanda's hand and is like, hey, look, I found a pile of fallen leaves. Let's touch them. And they lay down in the leaves together. She says she never really thought about why she likes dead plants, but when you feel their frail, veiny dead plant leaves, it reminds me of my mother's hand. We go on a flashback journey, and Namatame says, hand rejuvenation is hard, even in this day and age. But with plastic surgery, her mom had the face of a 20-year-old, but her hands were that of a 40-year-old. And every time she came home to visit, her mother's face changed. Her mom says it's normal. If you have a cavity, you go to the dentist. If you have a wrinkle, you go to the plastic surgeon. And youth is the most important asset these days.
The mother's not wrong. This is the direction that we're going. Like, you can't, it's so hard to age gracefully. Like, okay, I'm gonna give you a prime example. So, like, I have all of these grays in my beard. I have all these grays in my hair at all times. Now, I'm not dyeing my hair. Like, this is what my hair is turning into. I have dyed my beard once. And I think about it, and I'm like, one, it's super expensive to try and, like, maintain the look of being young. But you have, like, J-Lo, who's, like, 75 years old, getting her BBL fixed up, and you're like, God damn.
Who's Bruce Willis's wife?
Bruce Willis passed away, R.I.P. Bruce. You talking about Demi Moore?
Yeah, she's like 1,000,000 years old, dude.
Demi Moore is, yeah, she's, let's see. She was married to Ashton Kutcher for a while there. She's 63. And
she's older than J-Lo.
Yes, and she's doing her best to look as young as possible because that is the nature of the business. But J-Lo is, I think actually, J-Lo's 56 and looks like she's like mid-30s. Mid-30s. and she's posting on like Instagram, and it's like the amount of plastic surgery and money you spend. Plastic surgery is much easier to get nowadays and so much better than it was back in the 90s and early 2000s, obviously. Like, there used to be a whole entire thing that people would talk about, like the discrepancy between, like, obviously, friends, this is an adult podcast. We talk about adult things in this podcast, but like fake boobs in general. Differentiating between fake boobs and real back in the day used to be very, very clear. Nowadays, it's completely not. And people will get lifts, people will get reductions and all that stuff, which is absolutely fine. But like, where do we draw the line? How far is too far to look like you're in your mid-20s?
I had two notes here that I skipped, but I'm going to go back to them now because I wrote here, I wonder if this is a jab at beauty culture and the obsession of looking young in today's day and age.
100%.
And I'm of the same mind as Tetsudome, where you just embrace that shit. Don't pretend that you aren't getting older when you are getting older. It's not going to change. And I just feel like there's diminishing returns in this kind of extensive plastic surgery. Now, don't get me wrong, like I'm
taking care of
fine
your
with
skin, like making sure you get vitamin D, like all of these things that maintaining the elasticity in your skin so that you have like the flush complexion. Greg's not talking about like, oh, I'm going to get like super surgery and get a BBL at 65.
I think it's ridiculous because after a certain point, like everyone can tell what you're doing. You're not fooling anyone. But at the same time, I guess like if you have the money and it makes you feel better,
always the line.
It's not affecting anyone else. It's not like you're sacrificing kids and then like absorb their youth. Like this is just something internal with you. So even though I don't agree with it, I'm not going to tell someone not to do it if they want to do it and they have the money to do it and they're determined to do it, because this is a decision that's only going to affect you as an individual. But everyone knows what's going on, so you're not really fooling anyone besides yourself, I guess. But, you know, I think there's like a balance, because if you're uncomfortable with yourself, there's two roads. You can either fix it with surgery or you can accept it as a part of who you are. And I understand both options, but I feel like the plastic surgery is the easier way out. I think once you are hitting the extremes of it, just like anything else, that's when it gets into like the dangerous territory in my mind.
You go get fake titties, go get a BBL, do your thing. But also like understand like the limitations of the world and understand like when I'm in the old folks' home, maybe someday, and some lady's like, I'm going out for surgery and go gets like a giant BBL, you're going to be like, Stephanie, I need you to not do that. That looks weird. Okay.
If she wants to, I mean, I guess as long as you understand the risks of what you're doing and the consequences of what you're doing. So it may make you feel better initially, but if you're like 96 and you just got a fresh BBL, people are going to look at that and be like, well, that's weird. So you have to be prepared for the consequences where if that's what you want to make yourself feel better, go for it. But then also understand that it is outside of kind of social norms. So if people are like pointing at your butt and being like, well, that's weird, don't get mad at them for saying your butt's weird, because it's totally crazy. You just have to accept, either you accept your old butt that's flat and pancaked, or you get a BBL and you feel better because you have a big butt, but you need to also accept the consequence that people are going to look at that and be like, this is weird. So you either need to accept your own body or accept the fact that other people aren't going to accept your 90-year-old BBL.
Yeah,
you can't have it both ways.
But now I kind of like I'm almost laughing internally at the nightclub old folks home that I'll be DJing when I'll be in my wheelchair and I'll roll up and I'll be like, wiki, are you guys ready to party? And then like fucking LMFAO starts playing. And then it's just shots and everybody's just like has like a shot of vodka and their pill bottle next to it. And everybody's got like sick fake titties and fake tans.
And then they're just like, oh, can you play Despacito? I remember that from my youth. And then you play it and then it goes on repeat because you forgot that you play it. And now you're stuck in this demon loop of listening to Despacito.
I can't imagine a worse hell and a worse smell.
Could you imagine if like the only thing that didn't age was like your butt? So instead of your hands
Yeah.
in the world of Sanda,
Okay.
it's just your butt. So then if we continue down this scene and what her mom does, it would be like extra.
Yeah.
weird
I
and
think,
funny, I
yes.
guess.
I agree, Greg. It would be extra weird. I 100% agree.
Namatame thinks that she got her eyes from her mom, and to make sure her mother would never forget the smile she used to have, Namatame got better and better at fake smiling. And she comments that her father and brother left because they were afraid of her, and the only thing that kept the family together was her fake smile and this cup
Shit.
of gamer sups that Namatame had to share with the family because it kept the family together. And the family saved 10% off by using promo code DJ Montague at checkout. And the family got limited edition flavors like plastic surgery BBL 90-year-old lady that you can also get when you visit gamersups.gg and use promo code DJ Montague at checkout for 10% off.
Promo code BBL butt.
DJ Montague BBL nursing home DJ 92 years young. But no, the only thing that kept the family together wasn't gamer sups. It was Namatame's fake smile and her mom's wrinkly ass hands.
What an episode this has been so far. What a journey we've gone on.
But Namatame goes to take a bath and thinks that her mom is taking more and more pills lately. So many. She didn't think she could go on like this anymore, and she had to stop her somehow. Namatame asks her mom if she's been feeling sick lately, and she's like, nah, that's silly. Why would you ask that? And she's like, well, I'm worried, and you've gotten so light lately, and grabs her hand. But then her mom cuts off her own hand, or butt in my dream kitchen of a brain, and she's like, oops, did that scare you? Listen to this shit. If I cut my hands off, then that means my whole body can become young again. Hey, isn't that crazy? She hugs Namatame with her bloody stump and is like, you're only 10. You wouldn't understand how it feels to have old hands that are now not attached to your body. Namatame thinks that her mom's hand's gone, and now Namatame's smile is gone. There didn't seem to be much point to the home anymore, and then she kills her mom.
That all happens in this show.
Yeah, 100%. That no embellishment there besides cutting her own butt off. But it cuts back to the present, and she says a hint of her old happy self came back to her face when she died. And that's why she doesn't regret what she did. And if getting older in this country brings people so much pain, then it's better to end the suffering quickly. And once she thought of adults in that way, she quickly found herself in class 10. And she wishes that she could touch her mom's big-ass old wrinkly hands.
Her mom wasn't
one
even
more
that old.
time.
She was like 42. It was just like,
I know. You should. Your hands are too old. Just cut them off.
do I look like I have wrinkly hands?
Cut that. Oh, that's so disgusting. Cut that shit off.
I guess if I was working like a really difficult job, my hands would be more wrinkly, but they're not.
But I think that just shows like the mind warpage of the people in
Yeah.
the Sanda universe.
yeah.
That basically after 15, anything past 15, you're old as fuck, and you better
Yeah,
start
which
just
is,
getting
I
plastic
mean,
surgery
okay.
right now.
Yeah. They say like the peak of their youth, and they have the youth festival, and yeah, it's all weird.
But I did say that I thought that this thing really puts Namatame's character into perspective, and I thought they did a good job with her flashback with her
Yes.
mom. So I appreciated that Namatame flashback of her past and her first
Yes.
adult killing. Because it sounds like here she's insinuating she's killed more adults just to end their
Yes.
old wrinkly suffering.
Yes, and it I don't understand, like, she's supposed to be this cold-blooded killer, but all she did was like end her mom's suffering, so to speak. But even still, it's definitely not. It's a weird episode. It's a weird show.
But Sanda notices that Namatame's hand has been moving and touching the leaves the whole time she was talking, like she was searching for something. And then he transforms into Red Santa and holds her hand and is like, oh shit, I went and did it again. And his body acted before his head, and he transformed into Santa in front of the girl that's trying to kill him. Santa says she didn't let go of his hand until he pulled it away, and she is just pretending not to notice, but then pops a bratty bean, and then she asks what his name is. And Sanda is like, well, if I say Sanda, it will completely be obvious that I'm Santa. But he says it anyway, and she says they should meet up at the ceremony, and she thinks to kill
I'm
him.
gonna murder that guy.
He walks away, and Sanda is like, well, that was definitely a declaration of war, and you want to keep killing adults to forget the past with your mother? And he made up his mind to make every child's wish come true, but he doesn't want to become Black Santa anymore, so he'll have to endure being butchered by a child.
Yep.
It cuts to Sanda, Amaya, and Yagi-Uda, and he transforms into Santa, and he's like, fucking shoot me, Amaya. Fucking do it. It's for training. And Amaya and just standing there nervous.
I'm nervous.
Amaya is like, damn, I may act cocky, but I'm a scared kid. Maybe we should get Fuyumura. And Yagi-Uda is like, Santa is unkillable, right? And Santa says, well, I think so, but I still feel pain. Yagi-Uda is like sick, and he grabs Amaya and is like, here we go. So you pull the slide back and you hold it like this. And Amaya is like, wait, no, I don't want to do this. No. Or do I? And then he shoots Santa.
It's like, wait, this was awesome.
Santa is like, if I wanted a kiss, I would have asked your mother. Shoot me like you mean it. And Amaya is like, I don't fucking want to. And Yagi-Uda is like, man, don't worry. I've shot him a bunch of times. Yagi-Uda gives Amaya some more pointers, and Santa is like, shoot me in the fucking head. And Amaya is like, man, what the fuck? If you can't die, then why does this matter? And Santa says there's no telling what Namatame will do because she's a kid. And he's like, so am I. And Santa says, yeah, I know. And you're my best friend. And he has to become so strong that he can't be killed even by a child. And he has to beat Oshibu and bring back the ordinary days of Fuyumura and Ono so they can spend time together.
Right. I don't know. No, it's just like, this makes no sense, man. Like, it's just
It's the mind of a child. Like, in the child's mind, he's probably like, damn, this makes sense to me. Shoot me in the face. Yep. It's like Tide Pods. Like, it doesn't make sense, but all the
Nobody
kids
ate Tide Pods, Greg.
Or the Cinnamon Challenge.
Yeah.
None of it makes sense. Or trying to drink a gallon of milk in like 30 seconds or whatever it was.
That was stupid. That was so stupid.
None of it makes sense.
I mean, they were all stupid challenges.
This is on the same level.
Like, okay. Yep. All right. Get it. Let's get the bread.
Amaya is like, man, put yourself in my shoes, having to help my friend by shooting him. And then shoots him in the head. And Santa is like, holy shit, I felt that one. Give me another one. And then they spend the rest of the night shooting Santa Claus.
Also, he looks older, by the way. They like age him up. Look at this screenshot.
And I think it's just because he had a full night of shooting Santa in the head.
That's the implication, is that
he's kind of disheveled.
He's like, oh shit, that was pretty crazy, guys. Like,
yeah, he's not like pretty boy Amaya. He's like,
yeah, he was like, that was a rough weekend. Shit, guys. Yeah, maybe we don't just shoot Santa in the face repeatedly for the next 45 days. But, maybe we do. Who knows?
Santa thinks that kids are made out of some seriously stern stuff, as Amaya is becoming a whip at the pistol. And then they all eat ramen, and Amaya's like, man, what the fuck was that, Sanda? How are your bullet holes? And he says almost everything heals when he turns back into a kid, but the bad ones leave a mark. Amaya's like, oh, okay, well, good for you. Your wounds heal, but my mental scarring is going to last forever. And he gets up and leaves and says, from what I see, you don't want to become a strong Santa. You just want to become a stronger man. Sanda gets up and runs after him and is like, man, I'm trying to figure this stuff out too. I have no idea what's going on. And I think that is the key here. Like, we have to put ourselves in the shoes of a 14-year-old that basically has superpowers. And how do I become stronger? And without the wisdom of growing older and realizing that shooting yourself in the head like 400 times doesn't make you a stronger person, it kind of makes sense. Even though it's still ridiculous,
but it also works. Like, the thing is, yeah, it's dumb. Yeah, it's dumb.
I'm just sad that they didn't really like revisit it. Because now, at this point, let's say that Amaya has like 20,000 rounds of experience under his belt now. He's probably like really good at using guns, but it's never revisited. He doesn't help in the later episodes or anything like that. There's like growth, but then there isn't. You develop a part of a character, but then you just let it die on the vine, and it's kind of disappointing, really. But it cuts to Fuyumura and Ono in the infirmary, and Fuyumura is trying to paint Ono's nails, and she's like, damn, I'm really bad at this. Ono says she knows, and she remembers Fuyumura saying painting nails made them feel like they were cursed, and it's a little awkward, but they agree to meet in front of the school at 4. And Fuyumura wonders why Ono stares at her like that whenever there's a long silence. Fuyumura continues to paint the nails and messes up. And she's like, "You should laugh at me because I'm bad." And she's like, "I won't ever laugh at you, Fuyumura." And Fuyumura is like, "Is it because you're an adult?" And she's like, "No, not because of that. It's because I like you." Fuyumura doesn't get it. And she's like, "Well, I like you too. I looked for you after you went missing." And Ono unbuttons a shirt from
Holy shit, Greg.
IT-aesthetics.com where Ono got a shirt like this.
Holy shit, I'm literally wearing a sweatshirt and I
Or the
can't,
one.
Greg, holy shit. Okay, I'm turning around now to show my awesome sweatshirt. Thank you.
So you can get a shirt like that, or the shirt that DJ Montague's wearing, or the shirt that Ono has unbuttoned by visiting it-aesthetics.com. And Ono used promo code TABC10 at checkout or TABC5 for a stacking $5 off coupon, which is a good idea, probably because she's an adult and saving money. And you too can be an adult and save money by going to it-aesthetics.com and using our promo codes to get yourself a nice shirt.
Get yourself a nice shirt. Damn. Jesus Christ, Greg. That was wild. That was incredibly good. Like, I was not prepared. I didn't come to class prepared, and I'm shocked. I was blown away. Great work.
Well, Fuyumura was also blown away when Ono unbuttons and is like, "We're using like in 2 different ways." And Fuyumura is like, "What do you mean?" And Ono exposes her body to Fuyumura and is like, "Let's find out. How does this make you feel?" Fuyumura is surprised, and Ono says that if she saw Fuyumura naked, her heart would pound. But it isn't like that for you, is it, Fuyumura? By the way, this is all happening. It's awkward for me. It's awkward for you listeners. It's awkward to watch it. We're all going to be awkward together.
He's not wrong.
Fuyumura is like, "Man, your heart wouldn't pound if you saw my naked body." And Ono is like, "Well, let's find out. Get naked." And she's like, okay, fine. Fuyumura thinks that she didn't want there to be an awkward silence, so she just blurted that out and then says they've gotten naked together a ton of times, but then gives Ono the old up-down.
The old what?
Where she was just like, "Whoa."
Oh, okay.
Looking her up and down. The old up-down.
Yes.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yep, I do now.
Okay.
I do now.
Okay, good. I'm glad we're on the same page.
Yes, totally. We are totally on the same page.
But she gets naked, and then Ono says she feels kind of bad now, asking a child to get undressed in front of an adult. And Fuyumura says, no, it's not that. And then thinks that Ono already went through puberty, and she's just a tall-ass 14-year-old girl, and Ono is leaving her in the dust. Ono is like, "Well, give me an answer now. Is Sanda the one you like now?" And Fuyumura gets mad and is like, "What's up with all this love and hate and stuff? And when you grow up, is that all you care about?" And Ono's like, "When I left, you made a lot of friends. And that's good." And Fuyumura says, "Exactly. They're friends. And I'm sick of all this talk about men and women and adults and kids." And then storms out of the room, still naked. Cuts to Amaya and Sanda is like, "Amaya, please stop being mad at me for making you shoot me in the head a million times." But then they see a naked figure running at them, and then naked Fuyumura tackles Sanda, and Sanda is like, "Holy shit, Fuyumura, what the hell? Why are you naked?" And Amaya puts his jacket over her. Fuyumura says she's a pathetic baby that ran off naked, and she asks him to bring back Ono, and Sanda thinks that was the first wish anyone made to Santa. And Fuyumura continues and says, "Where's the old Ono? Can adults turn back into kids? And if you're Santa, then bring her back." And Sanda hugs her. Ono is in the bathroom, but then Oshibu rolls up and is like, "Nice tormented face you got there, bitch. That's something only we can do. You mind if I ask, what's wrong, adult to adult?" And that's how the episode ends.
In Greg's world, she's just like the ocean. Okay.
This isn't my world. This was straight up the episode. I felt weird reading it. I guess let me just disclaimer, this is all in the episode. I did not say any of this out of context. This Greg is all correct. In Sanda. It's weird for everyone, including me, but I am the narrator in this sense, and I'm narrating the story to my friends here at home. And yes, it's weird as fuck.
We continue.
So I have a note here that says, I think Sanda is really good. How it's portraying different issues like the chasing of youth, the struggle of growing up, realizing the world and people change around you, and there isn't anything you can do, and the struggle of learning or not learning how to deal with it.
To a certain extent, like it definitely has that tone of the world is shifting and we are now ingratiated into this like insane world that we see, but also they could avoid some of these tonal shifts a little bit, in my opinion. Some of these are not well done.
I mean, I think they are trying to go for a little bit of the shock factor. And as Zodal says, shocks can be a good thing, but I don't know. I feel like maybe they're doing it too much, or either the amperage at which I'm being shocked at isn't increasing. So now I'm kind of getting like the same shock and it's becoming less effective. I agree. But yeah, okay. Let's keep going. I'm just going to start jamming. You know what I mean?
Jam that bacon.
All right, here we go. Episode 10. Yagi-Uda narrates that the Peak of Youth ceremony happens in the evening, twilight, visible for 10 to 20 minutes. And the way the sky looks at the time is considered the most beautiful moment in the whole day. And 15-year-olds in age is when you're considered to be at the peak of your beauty.
I have a picture on my phone of when I was 15. I was like 300 some odd pounds at the time. Pimple-faced idiot. Okay? I was not at the peak physical, mental. Nope. All bad.
I have a note here that says, yeah, definitely for me too. I think when I was 15, I was drinking cases of Mountain Dew and eating bags of pretzels for meals as I played WoW.
I remember the exact meal I used to get from McDonald's, like every other day, because it was like $3. I used to get 2 cheeseburgers, plain, 2 large fries, and 2 apple pies.
Oh, apple pies are good.
Apple pies,
I'll say that.
Slim.
All right, here we go. Flashes back to Yagi-Uda's Peak of Youth ceremony and a girl saying that she likes him. And she's like, please give me your answer. He thinks that 15-year-old him hated this, and he was so far beyond embarrassed that he just hated everything about this Peak of Youth ceremony.
Same.
Okay, I have another note here that says, this is what I imagine every 15-year-old would think. I know it's what I would have thought if we had this shit when I was 15. I feel something that's comparable now in the US is the senior party after you graduate. And I also thought that was lame as fuck.
Senior party. But I didn't go.
I almost didn't even go to graduation. I almost told them to just be like, send me that
shit in the mail.
High school diploma in the mail. I just thought that it's like, you know what? Maybe this is my last hoorah with high school and these people and everything. So I'm like, you know what? I'll just go. And I remember going. I barely remember it, but I didn't feel like an adult. I didn't feel like I really achieved much. I didn't feel the party was beneficial, I guess, for me anyway. I don't remember having a good time. I do remember that, like, I guess I was glad that I went because I got to see everybody. But other than that, like, it wasn't very memorable.
I agree. And yes, wholeheartedly.
But Yagi-Uda starts breaking out in laughter, and all the kids look at him weird. Cuts to the present, and Yagi-Uda is talking to Amaya and Sanda and tells them congratulations, after telling them the tragic tale of Yagi-Uda, and tells them to don't try so hard to hide your embarrassment, that it will ruin your whole youth, and it's a mistake that boys make easily. Amaya's like, damn, man, I'm not that clumsy when it comes to romance. And Sanda's like, little Yagi-Uda, what's adorable? Why would you tell us that embarrassing-ass old man story? Yagi-Uda says there was a jinx back then, that if you professed your love or made a wish at twilight during the ceremony, it would come true. And Amaya's like, yeah, man, it's the same now. But it's sunset, and it happens at exactly 5:36 p.m., and it cuts to a clock with a countdown with 1 hour and 32 minutes left. Yagi-Uda has an oh shit moment and is like, on second thought, You kids go out and focus on having fun, and if something bad happens, I got your back. And Sanda says, when I grow up, I want to be just like you. Yagiuta is like, man, shut the fuck up and get out there. You're cutting into my cigarette time. And Yagiuta thinks that this is the most solid relationship he's had with other people in a long time. Ever since that day, he couldn't give a straight answer to a girl that liked him, and he hasn't changed. Cuts to various scenes of him causing trouble, and he thinks he's been scared of getting too close to people and just coasting through life. And right now, the closest thing to him are cigarettes and beer. And then he thinks that you kids don't want to grow up to be like me.
I'm Yagiura.
But then I have a note here that says, this is real and relatable, but even though Yagiuta thinks poorly of himself, he's still there for the kids, and that's what they probably truly see and why they want to be like
That's
him.
what I'm doing. I'm here for the kids because I am giving them music.
The 21-year-old kid?
Yeah. I'm nearly double their age, and I'm just trying to give them the wonders. I'm basically Yagiura. Let's be real. I'm a wealth of wisdom.
I also feel like Yagiuta.
Yeah.
You know what I always compared myself to? The blank puzzle piece in Scrabble.
Just inserted wherever you need to be.
Yeah, like by itself, it has zero value. It's not worth anything. There's no points associated with it.
But you bring everything together.
Or I'm just a loser and I don't do anything. That's more what I was going for.
Oh, okay.
It cuts to Ono standing in front of a window, fixing her hair, and she replays what happened the other night with Fuyumura, and wonders if she's going to come meet her, but then you can see Fuyumura running around trying to find Ono, and Ono thinking, this is probably the last time, ... as she sees Fuyumura running towards her. Fuyumura is like, damn, I'm hungry. Let's eat. And it shows the countdown clock with 1 hour and 30 minutes left to go. Cuts to Sanda and Amaya, and he's like, damn, they sure do pull out all the stops every year for this ceremony. And Amaya is like, yeah, spoiling kids rotten is the norm these days. Sanda thinks that the ceremony sends the message of, don't you fucking dare become adults. But then Nico rolls up and is like, yo, I found you. Let's go somewhere where we can see the sunset. Nico pulls Sanda away, and Yagiuta is smoking under a tree and is like, oh, look at that. He's having a good time after all. And at the end of the day, he's still a kid. But then Yagiuta sees himself and he's like, oh shit, Sanda, don't do it, kid. You're going to grow up to be a bum like me. And even if someone is trying to kill you, you can't think of stuff like this as pointless. And he's like, fuck, man, I get it now. Even if you are Santa, the only grown up around here is me. So I gotta ... And he walks away. Yagiuta walks up to Namatame, who is preparing her spread of guns, and he's like, hey, if you don't go enjoy the event, you're going to end up spending it with a teacher like me, so let's put this shit away and go have some fun, and takes one of the guns and puts it down as an olive branch. She goes to stab him, but he dodges, and she's like, oh, you didn't want to be killed by me? I assume that's why you came by. Yagiuta's like, damn, is this how it's going to be? And then he thinks it's his fault for doing something out of character and fighting her in Sanda's place as he thinks about Sanda. He goes up to Namatame and pinches her cheek and is like, this is for trying to stab me with your spike shoe, as she has a 9mm pointed at his stomach. And he thinks this is why it's going to be necessary for adults to protect kids, Santa. Cuts to Nico and Sanda, and he's like, hey, you never told me you weren't good with big crowds. I thought you would be good so you can push people around. And she's like, nope, I like to stand above and look down on all of them as they stand on top of some stairs waiting for the sunset. Sanda thinks, hey, this is a good vantage to spot Namatame, but Nico gets mad at him and is like, pay attention to me. But I understand why you can't, because I'm so cute, all dolled up, tee-hee. But you're going to have to man up, and the reason we came up here was so I could be alone with you. And then she plants one on Sanda. Nico was like, holy shit, you fucking loser. How could you let your first kiss get stolen like that? I just gave you my cavity bacteria, and now you'll never have a first kiss ever again. I win.
Understand what the cavity bacteria part is, but okay, yeah. Kid.
Sanda is like, oh shit, I'm Santa, and I just kissed someone. A child. But Sanda is like, this is tight, and asks Nico for one more, but then remembers Yagiuta saying he'll die if he falls in love with a child, and he kisses her again. But then it has a super weird impose of Santa kissing Nico now, and he remembers what Tetsudome said about wanting to be an adult, but not wanting to hurt anyone. And he thinks he finally understands what she was saying as Sanda is sucking off Nico's face.
Literally sucking, like, yeah, it's weird. Anyways, this show's weird.
I don't want to read anymore. All right, here we go. Nico punches him and is like, what kind of idiot kisses that hard as their first kiss? But then the kids hear a gunshot and the countdown clock is at 16 minutes. So they were kissing for like an hour and 15 minutes. Sanda takes Nico's red scarf and says he's worried about a friend, so he's going to go check on them, and he runs off and thinks that right now is a time for Black Santa. Cuts to Yagiuda, and he's been shot in the arm, and he's like, if I'm being shot, I guess I gotta shoot back, and draws his revolver. But Namatame is like 3 feet shorter than him, and he's like, damn, I'm used to shooting giant-ass Santa. Yagiuda thinks that fighting kids is outside of his wheelhouse, and he drops his gun, and Namatame is like, I feel bad for adults. Kids can get adults to protect them, but who protects the adults? And he's like, we just gotta get through it ourselves. She fires, but Black Santa jumps from above and catches a bullet with his teeth and is like, I'm the one you really want. Yagiuda is like, man, Sanda, what are you doing? You're making me look bad. And don't go protecting adults just because you're Santa. Sanda's like, you were a kid once. And Yagiuda is like, well, technically, yes, that is true. But then remembers Sanda saying Black Santa treats adults and children the same. And he's like a feral version of Santa. And Black Santa is like, this is now between me and Namatame. Yagiuda's like, dude, I never heard of Santa beating kids' asses before. But then the other kids of Class 10 show up to join the fun. 2 kids run up to Santa with weapons, but he just hugs them and is like, Santa would never use violence. And now all the kids are surprised. And Namatame is like, you aren't going to say some shit about the power of love, are you? And he's like, love? Love makes you do horrible shit. I just had my first kiss, so coming from me, you know it's true. And then he chokes the 2 kids out. He's like, you kids that know nothing of sleep, go to sleep now and dream of Christmas. As he just hug fights all the kids to sleep. He descends onto Namatame and is like, you shot my friend, so I won't let you off so easy. And then she shoots Santa in the head and is like, let's hurt each other until one of us is dead, as Amaya walks by. Cuts to a few minutes prior and Ono and Fuyumura walking around, and Ono gives her a bunch of compliments, and she's like, yeah, it's just because I'm tall. And Ono thinks, oh, she didn't respond with, your kimono looks cute too. That's why I like you. And she says other stuff she likes about Fuyumura, and then Fuyumura wonders what Sanda and Amaya are up to. So yeah, now it's doing a bunch of jumping between characters, showing that Fuyumura is still a kid, while Ono is trying to put the adult moves on her. Santa's hugging kids until they're incapacitated. So a lot of shit's going on right now. Ono says she's sorry about last night, but then they hear the gunshot and it shows a clock at 16 minutes and Fuyumura is like, oh, I gotta ... And Ono thinks she wants Fuyumura to focus all her attention on her and doesn't want her to leave. And this day is about them, and she wants to watch Twilight with her, and she thinks that all the things she would say if she was a kid. But Ono says, oh, you're worried about someone. Why don't you go check if they're okay? And Fuyumura is like, holy shit, thank you. I've literally been worried this whole time, and then runs off. And Ono thinks that she always knew that Fuyumura never had romantic feelings for her, and that she's a kid, and a kid could never give all of their love to just one person, as Ono clutches her chest. It cuts to the end of last episode where Oshibu showed up and talking to Ono, telling her she basically became an adult overnight, and becoming an adult is pain. But then it cuts back and Fuyumura kicks off her shoes and undoes her hair, and then it cuts to Namatame fully autoing Santa as all of the kids are just watching in horror, and Amaya is like, dude, if you keep this up, you're gonna die. Yagiuda is like, nah, he's good. He trained with you to prepare for today, and if you catch a stray round from Namatame, that's what would really kill Santa.
Like, I don't, whatever, man. Show's weird.
Santa is like, hate to break it to you, Namatame, but Santa doesn't punish kids. I'm just going to take your bullets until you get tired. And she's like sick.
Santa punishes kids. What are you talking about? He gives them coal. He calls them bad kids.
No, he calls them naughty kids. They're on the naughty list.
Hey, that Namatame is on the naughty fucking list, dude.
Oh, she naughty.
She's on the fucking list. She's on the list. You know what list I'm talking about? I'm talking about the list.
She's like sick. Well, this will never end. And she pulls out a 1911 and keeps shooting. And Santa thinks she might be right. And maybe he missed something about how cruel kids can be. The timer has reached 0 now, and it's twilight, and Ono watches by herself with a different look in her eye. And that's the end of episode 10. Episode 11, Fuyumura rolls up and rocket punches Namatame in the face and is like, I may be tall and shit, but I'm just as much of a brat as Sanda. Flashes back to Sanda and Yakiuda talking about why the ceremony is held at twilight, and Yakiuda says it's more than it being beautiful. It's like the sky is barely maintaining balance, and the sky kind of scares you when you look at it. And you guys are examples of how puberty is like walking on a knife's edge. Sanda's like, man, I don't get it. But Yagiuda says there will be a time you watch a sunset and it will all make sense. Cuts back to Fuyumura punching the shit out of Namatame, and he's like, oh shit, Fuyumura is the child who awakened me as Santa and who broke the curse. But Namatame turns her gun on Fuyumura, but Santa ski feets up and is like, that's enough roughhousing, kids, and takes Fuyumura and runs. Cuts to Nico just waiting for Sanda, and she's like, he's sure taking his damn time. It's already twilight. Man, I'm prettier than twilight. Cuts back to Yagiuda, and he's like, where did Namatame go? And he goes searching, and Amaya is like, damn, hope Sanda and Fuyumura are okay. Cuts to Ono on the ground, clutching her heart, but then Namatame rolls up and is like, oh, another adult. And she points her gun at her and says, I said I would kill any adult here, but maybe I should conserve my ammo for Santa. But something is happening with Ono's leg, and she's like, well, looks like I don't need to bother with you anyway. Namatame rolls up to a street vendor and is like, I'm hungry, and just shoots him, and everybody freaks out and runs. The festival looks to be in shambles now, and Namatame is just eating some seafood yakisoba and can't use chopsticks, and she says, I hate chopsticks. And a kid that can't use chopsticks shows that no adult loved them.
She wing clips that guy. She doesn't like shoot him directly. She just like gets him in the shoulder. And so you have like this weird scenario where like you almost think that she's trying to be better, but she's not.
No, okay, so I don't think she's trying to be better, but then I also don't think she's serious about killing all adults. And I think that does go to show, I guess, the kid in her and how maybe inherently she kind of thinks what she's doing is messed up instead of like coming to terms with that realization. She's just not killing adults and then making excuses afterwards for why she didn't kill the adults.
I agree.
She reflects on her plan to kill all adults, but then she's like, I broke my own rule and pointed my gun at Fuyumura, who is a kid. And to see that kind of trust between an adult and a kid must have made me remember some trauma with my mother. And then says, festivals by yourself are lonely. Amaya's like, phew, good thing Sanda and Fuyumura got away. But then he sees them hiding, watching Namatame, and he's like, what the fuck are you guys doing? Santa is like, it was a strategic retreat because she was going for Fuyumura, but then says he's going back out there because she's waiting for him. And if a child is waiting for Santa, then he's got to go, even if that child is a homicidal maniac. Fuyumura is like, what, and just get shot? And he's like, well, yeah, I can't punch kids like you did. And she's like, it's completely normal for kids to punch each other. When adults hit kids, it's abuse. When kids hit kids, it's just fighting. Sanda is like, Amaya, you got some of them young bratty beans? And he hands them over, and he turns back into Sanda and walks out. And Namatame is like, oh, you turned back into a kid. But I'm glad you did, because I never spent a festival with anyone, and we got the place to ourselves. Sanda scolds her for messing up the festival and shooting 3 adults, but then she throws her yakisoba at him and is like, don't lecture me in your kid form. And he's like, I'm not lecturing, I'm here to fight. And he lightly slaps her, and then she just punches him and his nose bleeds, and he turns into Santa and then eats a bratty bean and turns back and just repeats this process. And she's like, that's fucking weird. Could you stop doing that? Sanda is like, I know, right? It's fucking weird as shit. Isn't it scary that a kid like me turns into this giant adult? And I was scared too, But then Namatame has a flashback to her mother, saying it must be scary to see your mother get older in front of your eyes. And Namatame says she was scared watching her change, and she killed her because she couldn't take it anymore. And her mother were afraid of the same thing. Cuts back and she punches Sanda again, and Sanda says there isn't anything to be afraid of. We're all the same and we all change. And you're changing too. And she says, because of you, I keep remembering terrible things, and punches Sanda again, but he's getting rocked in his kid form. Fuyumura's like, damn, Sanda's taking too much damage from that tiny frail-ass little girl punching him. He can barely stand. And Amiya is like, no, I don't think it's that. It's because he keeps transforming because of his bloody nose, and all that transforming must be putting a strain on his body, and it's like 50 years of growth being dropped in an instant. Sanda says everything is getting fuzzy, and Namatame is like, looks like this weird-ass fight is coming to an end. And she says, after watching it, I'm certain now that becoming an adult is synonymous with indescribable pain. Cuts to Ono still on the ground, clutching her chest, wondering if Fuyumura is okay. And then it flashes back again to the conversation with Oshibu, and he says she's feeling growing pains right now, and he smells her and is like, yep, you smell like a woman. Really weird. I don't know what that has to do with anything. He says your body went through puberty in a single night, and she's broken the laws of nature, and that pain should remind you how sinful going through puberty is. She's like, you don't gotta sugarcoat it for me. I'm dying, aren't I? The pain gets worse every night. And he's like, oh shit, you're talking like an adult. Let's get a drink. And she's like, no, I'm good. I want to spend my last moments with Fuyumura.
Totally. Yeah.
I have so many things I want to say. I'm just going to keep going until the end of this episode. Cuts back to Ono, and she's like, it's almost night. And she's like frothing at the mouth and then passes out. Cuts back to Sanda, and he's all contorted now and can't transform anymore. And Namatame is like, guess I win. And I liked you more as cute 14-year-old Sanda. But Sanda laughs and is like, you know what? This is a first to me, but I don't like being called cute. And I'm going to say some shit I've never said in my entire life, but I'm going to mean every word. If a dude isn't being cool, then what is he doing with his life? And transforms into Santa. Namatame is like, I really wanted to meet the real Santa, and my wish is to kill you. And doesn't Santa grant all kids' wishes? And he's like, nah, I'm not going to let you kill me. And she's like, adults are the fucking worst. As it flashes back to Amiya saying the same thing as he's shooting Santa during training. And Santa thinks that if he dies here, everything he put Amiya through will be for nothing. Namatame switches from the 1911 to akimbo Glock 19s and continues blasting, but Santa thinks that there is a kid waiting for him, and it shows Nico. And there are kids everywhere waiting for him. And then he starts ho-ho-hoing. Namatame is like, that's fucking weird. And he's like, killing me isn't your wish. What do you actually want? And you know deep down, it isn't this. As Namatame hears her mom calling her. Fuyumura and Amiya watch on, and Fuyumura says this isn't a Sanda transformation. Sanda is turning into a real adult, and she thinks that Ono is going through the same thing. Fuyumura is like, Amiya, I gotta go find Ono. I left her alone when she needed me most, and she runs off to find Ono with flashbacks of Ono and Fuyumura saying she's dumb. And Ono just wanted to spend the ceremony with her, but she went and left her, and she thinks about all the things Ono said to her, and she felt the same way. Cuts back to Santa and Namatame, and she's out of bullets, and he thinks he's nothing but broken bones and bruises, and he's going to finish her with the hug the baby's goodnight fatality, but he can't use it unless he's Black Santa, and he doesn't have energy to transform.
What the fuck are you talking about, Santa? Sorry.
It's fine.
I had to get that in there. Like, what are you talking about?
Namatame just turns and runs, and he's like, oh, that's a first. And Namatame thinks that there's only one person that's allowed to hug her as she runs past the fucked up storage sheds from episode 4. And she said, this isn't even about the fight. I can't let anyone else hug me because she would forget her mom's hands. She runs past where she first was shooting Santa and then trips on a rock onto some dead leaves and struggles to remember her mother's touch and the sound of her voice as she's gripping the leaves. She has a flashback to her mom telling her, regardless of what she does, she's not there to scold her anymore. So if she shoots adults or fucks up a festival, ... And it cuts back to the present, and a lantern falls and sets the leaves on fire. Her mom continues and says she has a friend now, someone who will pay close attention to what she's really saying, and who will give you a proper scolding when you need it, referring to Sanda, and she won't be alone anymore. The fire is raging around her, and everyone thinks all the Class 10 students are safe, but someone is like, I see someone in there, and they're like, no one could survive that inferno. But then Santa walks out holding Namatame. Oshibi rolls up and is like, thanks for saving one of my students, Santa. And Santa is like, you were the one that put her in danger in the first place. And he's like, nah, I was just granting her wish to kill adults. And Santa is like, it won't be me or her dying today. It's you. And he grows his ski feet and jumps to action, then cuts to Fuyamura trying to find Ono. That's the end of episode 11. Big episode. Lots of stuff happened. I don't know if any of it matters, actually. I mean, we get to see, Ono's struggle. We get to see Fuyamura realizing she was being a kid while Ono was being adult, and she runs back. And I guess you can argue that Fuyamura is growing herself. We see that Sanda is growing as well, according to Fuyamura, that he is talking like an adult, not because he's Santa, but because he's growing as Sanda. We get to see more of Namatame and her trauma of her mother, and that's where everything she is doing basically stems from.
Right, but I mean, we've kind of established that a lot, and it feels like a lot of this stuff is just like dragging on because there needs to be some sort of drama, even though there isn't any, because like we know the ending of what happens. It's like these 2 episodes are pretty big nothing burgers to me, except for like one major thing that happens.
Yeah, I agree. And I do feel like this what was the problem of the show. I felt like they built like a really good foundation, but they didn't do anything with it. Or maybe they were like running out of time and now they were just trying to cram shit into episodes.
Well, this is exactly the manga. So I did double check. This is where the manga ends right now. There is no season 2. There's nothing that's been announced. I imagine next year there might be something when they do the next series of Sanda. I don't know. Like, it feels very strange to me.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it just kind of got lost a little bit. Maybe.
Are you going to go over like the Oshibu and Sanda fight?
Yeah.
At all?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
All right, let's just get through this last episode, episode 12, the finale, and then we can talk about this shit afterwards, because this episode's long as fuck.
This episode is long as fuck.
Starts with stitched up Oshibu, counting up from 494 years, but then the duel between Oshibu and Santa starts, and Oshibu appears stronger than before, and he says that he'll never forgive Santa for revealing his plastic surgery scars, and 5 people saw them that night in episode 6. And he engaged in the training best suited for him, which was the Room of Gazes, which is a room just filled with mirrors from all angles, and it's designed so he can see 500 copies of himself, and it simulates drawing the stares of others, which is his ultimate workout. Cool. All the kids are like, isn't that Godpa? That dude sucks. And he was a trespasser all along. And Oshibu is the sickest guy I know. And Oshibu relishes in the praise as Santa needs to find a way to turn this around. Santa is like, wait a second. Oshibu didn't get stronger. He's just trying to look cool and young. Why did I want to be strong for again? Question mark is what Santa says. He remembers he wants kids to know he exists. And then some burning wreckage is going to fall on some kids. But Santa blocks it and tells them that he isn't a god or a trespasser, but he's Santa Claus. And they might know who he is, and it's okay if they don't believe in him. And Santa realizes he wants kids to believe in his existence, but he doesn't know how. But he knows that kids won't believe some weak-ass adult, and then he goes for the kick in the Oshibu face, but Oshibu dodges. The other adults are like, oh shit, don't you realize how old that man is? And they start talking to him like an old man, and he starts growing his scars again, but he represses his urge, and the scars disappear, and then he invites Santa to go talk about this somewhere else, and they walk away. Oshibu is like, this is twice I've been called an old man, and now I gotta punish you where no one can see. And they go on top of the roof to fight. And Santa is like, you better not have forgotten our agreement that if I win, you reinstate Ono. And he's like, sure, fucking nobody cares. If that's what she really wants, and then they fight.
Yeah.
Oshibu fences him with his cane and then grows his scars, and then it cuts to the kids walking away, and they're like, who's Santa again? And Amaya is like, they might not believe, but I believe. Santa gets a small boost of power for Amaya believing, and then Oshibu unsheathes his cane sword and starts slicing and tosses his cane scabbard away, but Santa is dodging, and his skis are catching the wind from on top of the school. And he's like, damn, I feel so light. Flashback to Amaya giving Sanda some Santa reading material, and it's classic Santa riding in a sleigh with the reindeer. And Amaya is like, maybe he's using the wind somehow to fly. Or is it an engine? Or magic? And Sanda thinks, how do I get kids to believe? Cuts back to the present, and Santa thinks that he's the one who didn't believe. And to get people to believe in you, you gotta believe in yourself. And he wounds Oshibu in the face, but then falls off the building. Santa is laying on the ground, and he's like, I'll win next time, Oshibu, and then Oshibu walks away. Fuyumura is still looking for Ono and finds her, and Ono is sitting all sad, but perks up when Fuyumura shows up. Fuyumura apologizes for leaving, but says they still have time for the festival, and it cuts to the other boys, and they say they're keeping the festival going during the night. Cuts to Oshibu walking the halls and running into Tetsudome, and he is like, how dare you extend the festival without my permission? What if the kids get tired and fall asleep? And they exchange verbal jabs. Cuts to Namatame being carried off in a stretcher, and she tells Sanda to come visit Class 10 sometime, and he's like, sure thing. Ono and Fuyumura roll up, and they're like, hey, we found you. And Sanda's like, oh no, I'll beat Oshibu next time, I promise. And she's like, don't worry about it. Just keep that other promise. Wink. And Fuyumura is like, oh, what promise? But Yagiuta rolls up with Amaya, and Yagiuta says Oshibu is leaving town for an emergency work trip tomorrow. Sanda is like, man, I'm fucking wiped. And Yagiuta is like, man, you know what adults do after a job well done? A job well done party. And Yagiuta hangs out with the kids, and he's drinking beer while they are drinking honey lemon soda. And Amaya is like, man, you just want an excuse to drink. Yagiuta is like, man, don't worry about it. And Santa here is fucking manly. You see the size of his wiener? If you're a man and you see it, you realize how small your wiener really is. And Amaya is like, man, there's girls here. What the fuck? Nico is like, hey, Sanda, let's go get some candy apples, teehee.
All of this happens. All of this is just...
I'm cruising. I'm cruising, everyone.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about it in a second. Nico is like, hey, Sanda, let's go get some candy apples. And Fuyumura monologues how she's always the death of the party and Ono is the life of it. She eats like a horse while Ono eats like a bird, and she has curly hair, but Ono has long, silky, ebony locks. And she hates herself, but Ono loves her. She has a flashback to her wish to Santa, and she realizes she's a kid who wants what she doesn't have, and that's why she asks Santa to get Ono back, and then she asks if Ono wants to go on a walk, just the two of them, and she thinks this time she'll act like a grown-up. They sit on a bench and talk about love and making memories and stuff, and Fuyumura says she likes her and thinks that this is why you love someone, so they stay, and the memories you built over time wouldn't go anywhere, and it's something you say when you realize that nothing lasts forever, but then Ono goes lifeless.
This is like the stupidest child thought process, and it makes me frustrated because even a 14-year-old would realize that, like, that's not why you say you love somebody. Like, the memories will always be there. Like, what the fuck are we talking about? Anyways,
we're talking about Yagiuta trying to force feed Amaya some beer, and Sanda thinks Fuyumura and Ono have been gone for a while, and he thinks that something she said has been bugging him, which was her asking him to take care of Fuyumura, and they were reunited because she made a wish to Santa that they would be. But there's no guarantee that a present won't be broken once it's given to a child, and she tells Sanda to make sure to keep caring for Fuyumura, and she's not alone when she cries. Cuts to the classroom, and Sanda narrates it's been a week since that night, and Fuyumura hasn't said a word since. And if you didn't know any better, you would think nothing has changed, and she's just gone back to the old Fuyumura that would only open up to Ono. And it shows some scenes of them putting Ono to rest, and Tetsudome said it was a bad case of the growing pains, and these days it's normal for kids to only sleep for the first time at age 18, and that's when their bodies mature. But Ono slept at the age of 14 before she was ready and became an adult ahead of everyone else, and that's why she's dead. Sanda thinks that if he was a man she could count on ... Then it cuts to Fuyumura and Sanda in the bathroom, and he holds out a knife and says, "If you can't talk to me, then I'll become Santa as often as you need me to." And he tells her to stab him and unload everything she's feeling onto him. Fuyumura takes the knife, but then cuts her hair and says she'll never ask Santa for anything ever again because she would just have her heart broken when she lost that thing afterward, and she gets mad and says she doesn't want anything to do with Santa ever again, and she definitely doesn't have anything to say to Sanda, and storms off. Sanda's like, what the fuck? Am I really nothing but Santa to her? And is the guy named Sanda really that powerless, as he tries to rip up a red jacket, but he can't because he's so weak and he hates the color red? Sanda tries to sleep but can't, so he gets up and goes to the classroom, and Fuyumura is there, but he just sits down and says the classroom this early is a pale blue, in a world where the color red never existed, and there's no Santa, and then tells Fuyumura, as just a regular classmate, that Ono was happy that she met her, and Fuyumura starts crying. He gets up and hugs her and remembers what Ono said about taking care of Fuyumura and granting that wish, not as Santa, but as regular Sanda. And then I said I thought it was a nice touch that the end scene was basically the same as the beginning, episode 1, where instead of Fuyumura stabbing Sanda and wanting to find Ono, to crying on Sanda because now Ono is gone. And that is the conclusion and finale of Sanda. We made it.
We fucking did it, boys. God damn. It was a long episode.
I'm sorry I
But-
took so many notes.
No. No, you're fine. I like your notes.
Like, this was pretty big. But I guess in conclusion to all of Sanda here, I think they had good elements. I think, as I said before, the foundation was built. I felt like they had some strong things going. I liked the idea of like the kids growing. I liked the end a little bit, not because for what it was, but for how they contrasted the beginning to the end. Things I didn't like. I don't like how they just basically shit on Santa at the very end, like, fuck Santa, this guy sucks. I don't like how Santa really didn't do anything the whole series. Sanda said he didn't grant like a single wish to anyone the entire time. He went on these quests to like get stronger, but they really didn't amount to too much. I mean, you can still make the
Man,
argument.
he went on a vision quest.
Yeah, and saw hot young Tetsudome. But you can make the argument
He
that
did.
him going to get stronger, it's not about the goal, it's about the journey. You can make that argument. And in the end, he probably did become stronger because he went through all this stuff. But I don't know. I just feel like there wasn't too much closure. I mean, Yagi Uda was Saint Nick unit trying to assassinate Santa and just turned into just a normal dude that hangs out with kids now. And
Yeah.
Amaya is some weird kidnapper kid that just wanted to force 2 other kids to make out. And Fuyumura is like a demolitions expert. And yeah, they had little plays to that stuff before as well. But I don't know. I felt like they tried to cram too much into these 12 episodes. And DJ Montague said this is exactly how the manga is. So they tried to cram too much into however many manga chapters they have right now.
Yep.
If it's the exact same. I mean, I just feel like they just got a little lost in the sauce a little bit. And while I did enjoy Sanda to an extent, I feel like they brought up some good societal issues. It was awkward, and I don't mind awkward stuff. It's kind of like fan service to me. I don't mind the awkwardness. I don't mind the fan service, but it needs to be there with like a purpose. And I feel like the awkwardness.
Yeah, it needs to have purpose, and this has none.
Well, I wouldn't want to say none, but I feel like the first couple awkwardness things were okay. But again, you were like reusing that same awkward element. And I understand you were trying to develop like the Ono Fuyumura relationship and how Ono's an adult now, Fuyumura is a kid, and then the contrast of, I guess, how a 14-year-old that went through puberty and is now a quote unquote adult that Oshibu wants to fucking crack cold ones with and throw them back is different from another 14-year-old that hasn't gone through that, and how different minds work and that shit. Like, I get it, I guess, but I just feel like there were key pieces missing to really solidify the message that I think they were trying to go with.
I agree. I think it was definitely just like a weird, it was all over the place constantly and trying to deliver like different messages. Like it started off trying to be like jovial and funny to me, and then it tried to get like serious in a way, but it fell short because it doesn't, like, the impact of the show doesn't hit for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. What was your score, Greg?
With all that being said, Sanda did have other objective redeeming qualities. Animation. I gave animation a 10. I thought animation was great. I don't think they really skipped
It
a
was
beat
very
there.
pretty.
I mean, right there, that's going to push the rating up because you already get a flawless score right off the bat.
Mm.
Character development existed. I feel like they did have some missteps with it, but it was there. There was growth. It's not exactly how I would have liked, but it was there. So, I mean, it gets a higher score. I can't really take it away, even though I didn't like it. So I gave it an 8 for character development. The story, it started strong for me, but as I said, got lost in the sauce. I thought it was interesting enough conceptually. I give it like an extra point because it was Santa related, and we watched this during Christmas. I give it a 7. And then my own personal feelings about Sanda. I liked a lot of it, but how they concluded it left a bad taste in my mouth. And how they left so many open story devices that they introduced that arguably didn't necessarily even need to be there.
Yeah.
It dropped my personal feeling down quite a bit. So I give it a 6. Full total score is a 7. Would I recommend it? I don't know. Nah, probably not.
I would not. Okay, so for me, I think the animation was good. I think the character development, whether it happened or not, does not constitute. I think it was like negative character development. By the end of the show, I felt like Yagiura is cool to a certain extent, and Sanda learns how to become stronger, but nothing like Oshibu is just there. You know his motivations since the beginning.
Yeah, he got sent to Antarctica. That's his punishment. It's like, all right.
Yeah, it's so strange. Like, I gave it a 5, dude. In my head, this shit was just like the animation's good, but I can't recommend it. I think it's just average. It's like, I watched it and it existed. There were some moments I laughed at. There were some moments that I didn't really feel sad so much. I just felt like I had to, like, it felt like going to work. You know what I mean? My job is not hard. I'm a DJ. It is technically a trade job, in my opinion, where I learned how to do a service to the community, so to speak. My job's much easier than like being a DoorDash driver or like making big decisions for different companies or anything like that. Learn music. I play music. Like, it's not hard. Some days that job sucks because I'm constantly thinking about like, okay, what's the next song? What's the next thing that these people want to enjoy? It's not like I have everything in a list and I just go down the list, and if I deviate from the list, like, I'm a bad or like I'm doing something special. Like, I'm constantly thinking. So when I'm playing to a crowd that's not enjoyable, like they're just kind of standing around, it's just like not the vibe, and people just want to hear like really, in my opinion, boring music, and it's just this very much like a bleh kind of night. Sometimes there's almost nothing you could do to fix that. Like, I had a night the other night where I'm trying to play high energy music. I'm trying to get people engaged, and they just not going for it. They don't care. And so Sanda to me is like one of those nights where I'm doing it. I'm there. I'm just here so I don't get fined. You know what I mean? Like that type of mentality. So Sanda gets a 5 from me.
Yeah, I mean, and you can kind of tell with some of these animes, you can sense the cadence of it. So I thought Sanda started out strong, but as we're going down the episodes and it's like, okay, 7, 8, 9, and I'm like, not enough is concluded by this time that they can fit into 2 30-minute episodes. So
Agreed.
like I already know that it's like, okay, this isn't going to end how I expect it to be. There's no way they're going to be able to pull this plane up fast enough. I mean,
Yeah.
I would say they made a crash landing. I'm not going to say they like ran into the mountain.
I don't think everybody on board made it, but not everybody went down with the ship. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Oh no,
You catch
didn't
my
make it.
drift?
Yeah, yeah. But it is something
Yep.
like that where like you can
Mm.
kind of feel how it's going to be in the end and how it's going to conclude. And yeah, like by around episode like 9, I was like, no, man.
Not invested anymore. I do
Yeah.
not. Nope. Nope.
So yeah.
Thank you so much for hanging out with us today on the Anime Book Club podcast. Thank you to IT Aesthetics. Tab C5 for $5 stacking coupon if they have another coupon. Tab C10 if they don't for 10% off your entire order. Thank you to Gamer Subs. Use code DJ Montague at checkout for 10% off your order for delicious Gamer Subs flavors like the scars on Oshibu's face and 92-year-old BBL. And thank you to all the web hosting we have, Spotify, YouTube, also our website. Greg, what's our website?
theanimebookclub.com.
And thank you, friends. Check us out on Instagram. Check us out wherever you could type in the Anime Book Club.
The moral of the story: be confident in yourself. Be confident in your skills. You don't need to be number one in the world to be good at what you do.
That's a good one. I like that, Greg. Aim for the stars, but be satisfied with landing on the moon.
Or not even making it out of the atmosphere. And,
Right,
instead
right.
of going up,
You're
you
just-
just go down.
And
like
crash
6
landing, fucking Challenger exploding. Be happy with it, you know?
Yeah, I didn't
Just-
actually even get off the
You
ground.
fucking
Like,
tried.
we turned
You
the engine
fucking
on and then
tried.
I exploded.
Yeah.
So don't be like me. Be confident in your skills.
Be like Greg. Try your best. And
Try
even
and
if you-
explode and fail in a
Even-
fiery fireball of failure.
Frame.
Failure.
Thank you so much, friends. We appreciate you being here. It's wonderful to have you. And we'll see you in the next one. Say goodbye, Greg.
All right. Okay, everyone. Goodbye.
Damn. It's cold.
Thank you, friends, for checking out the Anime Book Club podcast. We hope you enjoyed the episode.
And if you don't want to miss the next one, follow us on the socials where we announce new episodes, content, and other cool stuff. You can also check out our anime list with our rankings and follow along with what we're currently watching and what we have watched in the past.
All the links are in the description. See you in the next one. Bye!